Hey all, this is 012 Boku and
Your jester of jokes and jackassery, Mr. Jarek. Hello.
oh yes, and I forgot I have mine here. I don't know if Jarek's in different gloves, but well,
Yeah,
you don't have to, Jarek, if you don't want to, because I
it's
know.
a
Yeah.
little too cold for the other one this
Well,
year.
yeah, I don't. Oh, I forgot the thumb and got trapped. But as I put this small ass glove on that I hopefully don't tear, um, God, this thing. I look like Bozo the Clown. But anyway, folks, as I'm
No, you look
getting
like a
into.
clown that tells children, we all float down here.
We ought to float down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, flipping love you, Tim Curry. But anyway, yes, we are going in through Fullmetal Alchemist, the next episode, which I believe I put on. Oh yes, the Alchemy Exam. This episode again was one that was pretty fun. I mean, it had a lot of heartwarming but also fun moments. It's where the Elrics go into the city. Long story short, they hook up with Show Tucker in this episode, and they meet Nina, and they're obviously getting a lot of information from Show Tucker at his library, studying for the exams. Both brothers are doing well. Take the exam. Alphonse has to drop out because in case he's discovered he's just a soul in a bunch of armor. Edward does it, where they sort of hint at the illusion in this one. He learned his clap by studying hard, and he just discovered it by praying almost to get this done. I like that touch a little bit more than Brotherhood, where it's like, oh, we learned everything, and poof. But again, that's me. I'm sorry, Hiromi Arakawa. I'm not trying to bash what you did, but I like how it's like, oh, it's something he really wanted, and it's like he earned the ability to do that. Not just you learn everything. You can just clap your hands and not do a circle, but eh. But anyway, on to what we like about it, which is what we do these reviews for. Again, I liked it all. I like how, we see, I'll start with Shao Tucker since he wasn't featured a whole lot, but he actually seems like a very well human being. If you guys remember from our other reviews, or if you've seen Brotherhood, or if you've watched this show, you know what's going to happen in the next episode down the pike.
Yeah.
And not fun, but, we get to see him as a normal human being pretty much, and where he's stable and doesn't seem psychotic or depressed all the time, and that was actually cool to see. Nina seemed like she had a lot more to do in this episode alone. She really got to expand a friendship with Elric, which again, not to bash Brotherhood, and also not to bash the manga, but in the manga and in Brotherhood, it just seems like it's such a quick thing, just a thing, and it's like, we get to know you, and boom, it's done.
Yeah.
The deed was like, and she's a chimera thing, woohoo! But in this one, it's like, even though you could say in this episode it was quick too, but again, the deed to what happens to Nina and Alexander isn't done yet. So we get the idea that time has passed with the Show Tucker and the Elrics and Nina, where they were a part of her life, she was a part of theirs. There was this older brother dynamic with the sister dynamic that was just, oh, so heartwarming and good. There's actually a great part right before they take the exam where Maze Hughes, being a better friend than he is again, I'm sorry, there's going to be quite a bit of Brotherhood bashing in this one, better than how he was portrayed in Brotherhood, to where he shows up to where he said, hey, I looked in my investigation department. I wouldn't be much of an investigator if I didn't find out what your birthday was, Edward. Why don't you guys come with me? And of course, you can come too, Nina, and I'll throw you a birthday party. And to me, that was a lot better than, hey, when we want to show up to my daughter's birthday and let's have this, and then let me tell you about the Alrics, even though it doesn't feel like I got to know them at all. Guys, I'm sorry I'm really bashing it, but this is the episode that really showed me this is why I like the original more, because they build upon it.
Well, and it's cool too how you see him kind of try to do the dad thing, look cool by pointing out, hey, what kind of a member of the investigation team would I be if I didn't know it was your birthday?
Oh, well, absolutely. And then, they go in, and the scenes where they're celebrating his birthday are absolutely great, having fun. And then the whole baby scene probably was the creme de la creme favorite for me. They're all freaking out, because Hughes, there's a blizzard outside. Hughes has to run to go get the doctor. and they're wondering what's going on. And then I also have to mention in English, right when it is, honey, it's coming, the tea, the baby. And it's like in Japanese, it's like she mentions like the first part of the kanji, which is like horse, and he's like, honey, the horse, the baby's coming. Oh, the baby. Oh. But I like that. It's coming, honey. The tea, the baby. But yeah, and then them trying to deliver it was hilarious because they don't know what to do. They're freaking out. They're trying to help Gracia as much as they can, not knowing what to do. And then, believe it or not, this is the first one where, in Edward's desperation, he's really desperate to help out. So his hands are clasped like that. He grabs the bowl and he heats the bowl unknowingly with just his hands. And there's also a nice thing where, again, after Gracia delivers birth, Edward and Alphonse are in their beds, and Alphonse is saying, I want to remember what it is like to be human, to touch you, to see you, to smell, to see correctly. I don't have any of that, so that was a nice little touch there. And then the exam parts, which Nina was there for all the exams, which I thought was a very nice touch.
Well,
And
she was outside the building.
well, yeah, not inside. Yeah, let me clarify that. Thank you, Jared. Outside the building, and again, the way that Edward got into the exam, which was a three-legged chair that shouldn't stand on its own, but it was being held up through alchemy. Again, nice touch. He goes in and he just tells the Fuhrer, Boss Gron, and General Hakuro, and also Mustang was in the wings there, that I'm doing this for my brother. Like, he doesn't go into detail why they're doing it, but he says, I made a promise to my brother. I'm going to do this. And again, seeing Fear Bradley, can't complain about that, even though it's just a quick few lines. Still cool character, love the guy to death. And when stuff starts going wrong through the exam, he actually transmutes a statue and a balloon that was going to hit it, and it hit the tower, and the tower was crumbling, about to hit a guy. He transmuted into a flying wreath thing with cherry blossoms, so that was cool. And he basically passed the exam, and the brothers reaffirmed their thing. So sorry, didn't think I was going to go into that much detail, but that's how much I liked the whole episode. It was just so damn good, and it reaffirms so much. And again, sorry for the bashing of Brotherhood in manga, but I like how this stuff sets up. And believe me, if I remember with the next episode, it's gonna hit hard with what happens a lot more than it did in Brotherhood. In Brotherhood, it was still bad. In this one, it's like, you're fucking kidding me, right? But anyway, Jared, you're up. What'd you like?
Well, to add a lot more context to it, like the neat thing with this version of Show Tucker is the slow build up to realizing something's not right. Like, Edward, of course, being the smarter, more analytical brother, asks, it's like, oh, where's your wife? Where's that chimera you made? Can we see it? And then you see the pause in him, and he's like, oh, well, we had it. We had to like put it down. First experiments always tend to be volatile. But the important thing is that it proved the theory, and that it established that it could be done. And you can see Show Tucker is clearly an intelligent man, even if he's doing it from an angle of a con artist and a bullshitter.
Yeah. Well, it's like how
he knows enough about how this kid is thinking to at least come up with a plausible theory, because he can tell, if they brought this kid here to me to study, he must be a prodigy. I'm going to need an excuse that's going to hold water.
One, then, to support your theory for the visual aspect of it, where he looked normal, we could see his whole face, and as soon as Edward brought the chimera up, it was like, like we saw where his eyes were hidden by his glasses, and he was hiding some sort of fear or embarrassment. So that's where something may be weird here. So that was a nice touch,
and like
and the visual.
And like Boku mentioned, it was wonderful getting to see him, Edward, Alphonse, and Nina have this little relationship. Like at the table when she says, "Big brother Al, it's not good. You need to eat more food. You're gonna get sick." And then he's like looking at the potato, and he's like trying to put it in his mouth.
Oh,
like,
this is so good.
You need to chew it. You need to chew it thoroughly, okay? And it's really sweet because you see her trying to act like a mom. Like if you lose your mom and you're a little girl, of course that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna try and fill in the void by being the mom. And
now eat the steak too.
Yeah, and it's wonderful too because you see her actually get the Elrics to play, making snow angels. They transmutate I forget what into a little garlic crown for her.
Oh, it was, I think it was a little bit of dead leaves and the snow that they
Yeah,
made the flower crown out of.
they make it grow and then they turn it into a garlic crown for her,
Mm-hmm.
which later is basically they make a giant version of that out of that obelisk and that
Oh, you're,
balloon.
you're right. I didn't make the connection to that. You're right.
Except it had wings on it and it's spouting cherry blossoms everywhere.
Do, 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 do.
Which is even more badass because an obelisk is, kind of a semi-demonic.
Alec.
Well, I mean, it's a object. It's a geometrical shape based in triangles, and triangles are associated with the devil.
Yeah.
Whereas the garlic crown is round, and from the viewpoint of sacred geometry, it's a perfect shape. So it's a holy shape, which kind of a neat thing that he took basically an unholy shape and turned it into a holy one
Mm-hmm.
by praying.
Yep.
But also, there's other neat touches like that little chair he mentioned. Looks like a musical note, and it looks like it shouldn't even be capable of
Mm.
standing. And I told him, my theory on it is like because like Bradley brings up, if you don't have the talent, you won't be able to sit on the chair. So I'm thinking it needs to be able to resonate with latent alchemical talent. If you don't have the talent, it's not going to tune. You're not your alchemical abilities won't tune with it, and it won't be able to stand. And I thought that's a neat little touch, the chair being shaped like a musical note.
What are you doing?
Oh, I think he heard some. I think he heard like my computer or something.
Well, hold on. Oh,
Oh.
does he want to get down?
A little
See,
quiet.
see if he wants down. Let him down.
Come on,
Oh, yeah. Oh, holy shit. Don't worry, we're gonna edit this part out.
And I mean, there's just so many other wonderful touches to all this. Nina drawing a picture of them and like the little garlic crown they made for her, which
Oh,
later
yeah.
inspires Edward to save that dude by turning all those objects into one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you really, and again, this is another neat touch. Like Alphonse mentioning, I want to become human again. I want to know what it's like to feel the warmth of someone else, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to smell the taste, because this is something that happens when you lose like a sense or something. Like people who go deaf, like not born deaf, people who go deaf, who have like had sound, they get very angry. I mean, they live in a world where they can see people who can hear sound. They only have like a partial memory in their mind of what that used to be like, and it really does it angers them.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same with like people who used to have sight who go blind. There's only the vaguest recollection in their mind. Like when you see how they used to draw compared to how they now draw, you can see like the image, the idea of how these lines are supposed to line up and correlate. It's dying. It's losing its cohesion.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same with any sense. Once if you've had that memory and then you start to lose it, it's just like it slowly eats at you. Heck, dementia is the same way. You see things and it only vaguely resembles what you realize you should remember, but it's just not there. It's kind of neat that they brought that up in this episode. And
Well, because it's the whole thing of he has nothing really. He's just a soul,
yeah,
and it shows a concept of where the soul and body really are one. The soul is what's immortal and lives on forever, but your body is what gives the soul experiences. And to have that ripped away, the feeling of that can only be, I mean, like you were explaining,
yeah.
Jared, that can only be so fathomable and unimaginable. We can't even think about it. That's what makes us, grieve for Alphonse and also give him hope that he can have that back. And what
And you
makes,
also got a sense that it might even be worse for Edward in a sense because there's still parts of him that still have that feeling, but he's still got that auto mill that doesn't. He can still use it, it still functions. But the difference between being able to feel one arm and not the other, and then looking at his brother and realizing he's lost all of that.
mm-hmm, that's what I was going to bring up, but you beat me to the punch there. So, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's your thing. So go ahead. If you got to it before me, I was going to add it if you didn't
And
mention it. But no, that's
yeah.
exactly what it is.
And again, there's just a bunch of really wonderful touches. We get to see more of Maze Hughes being best dado ever.
Yeah.
show Tucker before he becomes worst dado ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Roy Mustang's plans starting to come into fruition, and I even told Boku, I kind of get the feeling he chose for them to study with Sho Tucker just because, yeah, where's your wife, Sho? What happened to her?
Well, yeah, and also since you brought that up, to bring up a part that I didn't know, I mentioned how doing a quick recap of the episode where he didn't want Edward to or no Alphonse to go into the test because of his soul thing. When Alphonse is making his case, Edward jumps in and says, hey, we're going to be dogs of the military. You don't want that. I'm going to have to do the things at the beck and call. And we notice where the camera pans to or cuts to Roy Mustang to where he's just staring at him sideways, glancing at him, with almost a look of, you guys don't even know the half of what goes on.
Yeah.
So it's like, you guys are kids. So again, it's like, Roy Mustang knows what it is. But again, I know it isn't brotherhood, and I know we all love the military kitschy attitude, ready to go for it, but yet the Roy Mustang who struggles to do what he does in Brotherhood. But again, what I love in the original is Mustang knows what he wants, and there's a confidence there that hasn't been muted by discovering father or the Fuhrer being a homunculus or anything like that. Again, it really makes the stakes for Brotherhood awesome, but I like how you can see where Mustang cares, but he's wearing the guise and that confident guise, but yet that concern that shows it. And again, you'll see that throughout the show that it's still the same Mustang from Brotherhood, but I like how the confidence is there a lot longer than I'm suddenly like, oh.
Well, and we still saw him have the confidence even after he found out about Bradley, but it was now directed in a different way. It's like, yeah, I know the odds are stacked even more against me, but now it's an even bigger challenge. And, it's almost like if I can pull this off, then it's an even better game.
Yeah, and at
But
least
this one, I agree with Boku, though. It is nice to see just the absolute swagger he has in this show.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also it's nice to know that I think in the original we don't get that line that, if you guys remember a couple episodes before we ended the first part of Brotherhood, that one line we talked about on Moss about, oh well, we're gonna make sure everybody's held accountable, even you.
Yeah.
Like, we won't get into that again, but I'm glad we haven't heard anything like that yet. Thank God.
Plus, there's also a great line from Bradley in this episode, of course, where it's like, well, looks like we have our candidate, the youngest state alchemist ever, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it really draws to the fact that Edward should not have been able to participate in this, but Roy Mustang made a very big, bold move, and the military loved that shit.
And again, General Hakuro, since the last episode where he saved them from the train, making the statement, and Hakuro being one of the judges to preside over that too, helped the case too. Plus, even so, like you said, Bradley having that great line, and Ed Blaylock delivering that, and Katsuhiro, or Katsu, what the hell, how do you say it again? I think I wrote it down here. Where are you, brother? Hidekatsu Shibata, delivering those great lines that we love and know to see. And again, I liked how Bradley did it a little better. It was more respectful in Japanese, but I like how, Edward sits down and he's like, well, so if you're a true alchemist and you believe it in your heart and you have the ability, the chair won't resent you. State your case. And he struggles, and I don't think he mentioned anything in Japanese, but in English, I like how they had Ed Blaylock just give a thing of where, not terribly dramatic, but where he's just like, I'm waiting, like, state your case, don't waste our time, why do you want to do this, but yet not being a jerk about it, but, if they're going to work for the military, they have to have that poise, and then it made Edward's setup to it much more, and again, we all know who Bradley is, but I like how in this one too, since in the original we didn't know right away, there's a softness to him. There's a joy he's getting out of this, which I love seeing. It's probably for a sinister purpose, yes, but I like how we don't know, and I'm like, it's nice to see Bradley so normal.
Well, and I also love some of the other touches of like this test, like when you see the first guy make that giant obelisk, which Looks an awful lot like the Washington Monument, which, by the way, was never finished properly.
Nope.
I love how it basically tires him out. It's like, excellent detail and effort. Shame he wasted all of his strength on it.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next guy makes like that balloon, and of course, Edward's like, interesting, using the water to turn it into hydrogen for a balloon. But it's neat to see Edward basically take these two crumbling structures and recycle them into a gigantic floating garlic crown with wings. Because if you'll remember some of the stuff we mentioned in like the Brotherhood reviews, you can, like repair or recycle materials after it's already been transmuted, but it weakens it over time.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to basically take two broken structures and turn them into a gigantic flying garlic crown with wings is just like, and he didn't even get slightly winded either. Like, he just bolted in there, went for it, and he's still ready to go. So that's going to catch Bradley's eye.
Well, because what? How did Edward do that? Through the will and determination to not see people. Because at this point, you can tell the Elrics are tired of seeing people hurt. They don't want to see it anymore. So he probably made that completely out of will and determination. No strength, cockiness, or anything required
And
of that.
speaking of Bradley, he even says that. It's like, interesting, transmutation without a circle.
Mm-hmm. Looks like we found our alchemist, youngest we've had. And again, just so great. And I mean, to that point, since we nailed pretty much everything in the episode, I have to say we can go to the cast. Probably similar to what I mentioned in the short review. I didn't mean to tear this paper, but oh well. I have to give it to again. Well, basically, I think my key players in this were Edward and Alphonse, Vic Mignogna, Romy Paku, Aaron Dismuke, Rie Kugamiya. Great performances from those two characters. Really great indeed. Hughes, Sonny Strait, Keiji Fujiwara. He was just fun in this episode, and also playing the fatherly figure, Sonny Strait especially gave that a great role. I'll also give it to Keiji Fujiwara too. He did a great part for that as well. And then my top pick, as you guys mentioned, Nina, I'm guessing a very young Brina Palencia, Satomi Kurogi. Great performance. Very childlike, very sweet. You couldn't help but feel happy, possibly in tears at sometimes with this. Just, she made you feel very good. The motherly quality, the freak out quality, the absolute childlikeness. Again, I'm going to say since Brina Palencia is still a young, maybe even middle-aged actor still doing voice work at this point, I'm going to say she had to be a kid when she did this, but then again, her father has also worked for Funimation and other productions for a while, so I'm going to say maybe she was Aaron Dismuke's age, maybe 9, 12 years old when she did this, who knows. But, great role. And then as a Dark Horse favorite, really quick, I got to give it to Gracia, Lauren Good, Kotono Mitsushi, just her little role when she was having the baby and the freak out. I'm dying. No, I'm fine. Would you all stop screaming? Just great stuff. But those are my picks. Jarek, how about you?
Oh, I'm going to have to go with the voice actress for Nina #1 because, god dang, she was too perfect and precious
Brina
in that role.
Palencia, Satomi Kurogi, already?
And yes, me and CPS are going to be paying a visit to the Tucker household later on. No reasons. As for #2, I'm giving it up to Mrs. Mays Hughes because again,
Lauren Good and Kotono Mitsushi.
absolutely perfect as a mother and a woman giving birth because man, that shit can be stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And considering my sister used to be a labor and triage charge nurse, not fun. And as for #3, I'm gonna be biased on this one. I'm giving it to Mace Hughes. I wanted it to be #1, but he doesn't have enough to do in this role. But dear God, he's always gonna be best daddy, and this episode is the reason why.
Well, and again, the reason I also had him on that list is because not just for the voice acting ability, but for what his character does.
Yeah.
Just keeping the Elrics in mind, and like I said, not taken away from Brotherhood, but that seems very absent in Brotherhood. It's like it's implied the brothers knew him, but I like seeing it. Where, we see this guy on the train. He's a soldier. He's a very cool guy. Okay, we see him a little bit afterwards. Oh, he's actually visiting us and then making a birthday party for Edward.
He's the kind of guy where you look at him and you're just like, how the fuck did you wind up in the military? What are you doing here?
Well, exactly. And again, with the previous episode, they show why he's there. He has some skill. He's got some pretty damn good skill. He's also a very good investigator, which you see in the show too. The next couple episodes will also have that being a part of it as well. And I guess overall we can get to final thoughts again. Overall, just loved this episode. Loved everything through and through. Really great stuff. Just enjoyed it, Jared.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's nice to get to see the lighter side of House Tucker before we know what happens, and actually getting to see the Elrics form a bit of an established relationship with Nina before the moment comes. Yeah, that's a wonderful touch. Getting to see the alchemy test. This is the reason why I like this version better than Brotherhood. Is
Same here.
it's not just mentioned offhandedly. We actually get to see this shit, and
Yeah.
it really adds a lot to the world.
And before we end it here, let me just say, me and Jarek are not bashing Brotherhood. We both say it. We like Brotherhood still too. But when you get this type of stuff, I've always been about characterization and what it can give. And if you can give good characterization with plot, thumbs up. It's great. It's great stuff. Like I'm gonna say, I know we framed it like Dragon Ball Kai and everything like that, but we'll frame it another way. Which if we ever get Kai too, we'll frame probably Kai as well too. Where you have the action movie version of this, that's Brotherhood. When you want good action with drama, that's the original. Because I never thought I'd like drama, but oh boy, do I love drama and the human condition when they mix together. And this original show has done it. 6 episodes in. Apologies, 6 episodes in, and this is how much we've said. We already like the original more than Brotherhood. Not again taking away from Brotherhood, but this is why we like it. But hey,
Or hey, to put it this way, do I like the Human Echo anime? Yes. Do I prefer the light novel way more? Yes.
well, and there you go. Better way put, Jarek. But again, these are just our thoughts. What are yours? Leave comments down below and let us know what you think. And until then, this is 012Boku, and
This is your announcer, Mr. Jackass, signing off. Please keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle and wait to leave the review. Thank you for flying Slightly Idiotic Productions.
really, Major, you need to find a better way of doing that without trying to overdo it. No one cares about beautiful.